Hi, and welcome to Chessvis on the web. The handling of opening repertoires on the web version is rather different than on the mobile app, so I decided it was best to make a new video. I think the best place to start is with the tree viewer. That way we can get a feel for this particular repertoire and at the same time give me an opportunity to describe all the different features and even what exactly is an opening repertoire and what we're trying to accomplish. So what you see up on the screen is under repertoire for the tree viewer. This is the Evans Gambit. It's a variation of the Italian game where you offer up the B pawn in exchange for a more rapid attack. Let's click on 1e4 and that move will be made on the board. At this point, we can either click on other moves or we can use the arrows down on the toolbar. Let's click on the next move, and black's response is there, and then the two knights come out, and then the two bishops come out. And now if we look back up at the tree, we can see that the fourth move by white is b4. Let's go ahead and click on that. So we're offering up the B pawn. And next to that, you can see that there's a plus sign. And what this means is that this is a branch where multiple moves by your opponent are being considered and responses by you have been created. So let's go ahead and click on the plus sign. And the tree opens up. Again, it's basically a decision tree. When my opponent does this, I will do that. You can control the moves you make, so normally you come up with one response to your opponent's move. But obviously your opponent can make any move they feel like. So here we can see that this particular repertoire covers two moves by black. One is to retreat the bishop to b6, and the other is to go ahead and take the pawn. And if we click on the bishop takes b4, that move occurs. And then again, we can go to the next move with the arrow and we attack the bishop. And then again, here's another branching opportunity where black can retreat the bishop to a5 or all the way back to e7. The whole idea behind the tree is that you control your responses. You've made decisions ahead of time as to what you will do and create answers to the different opponent moves. And you can click on any number of the plus signs. Here's an example where white has thought about two different choices. And you can even click on any particular move that you want and it will jump there. So one question you might have is, where do you get a repertoire? There are basically three sources for use within Chessvis. One is that there are a few in the library that you're free to copy as starting points. As a matter of fact, the Evans Gambit one that we have been looking at is actually a copy straight out of the library. You can import repertoires if you happen to have them in other programs, other websites, or if a teacher has provided you with a repertoire. There is a standard notation within PGN files for the decision branching and also for comments that can be put in there. And you can drag and drop those directly into the import, and they'll be immediately processed and turned into repertoires. Then the other way is with the builder. The builder can also modify repertoires. And here it tells you down at the bottom that it is using the Evans Gambit repertoire. These are all the different move choices that are available to you. This looks very similar to the opening Explorer, but now there's a checkbox that says that this move is part of the repertoire. For the web version, there is a new feature in which is a tree, in which lets you display the tree while you're building it. There are three different modes. One is display, where basically the tree is displayed. As you move around with the builder, nothing is displayed on the tree other than letting you open it up. The other one is that it follows along. So as we click on moves, you'll see that the moves get highlighted as part of the tree. so you can follow along. But the most interesting one is what I call bidirectional, in which enables you to click on the tree and have the builder jump to that location. So let's say, for example, an interesting point to jump to would be b4, because we've seen that we have bishop takes b4 covered and we have bishop going to b6 covered. So we can ask ourselves, well, are those two good choices to cover, or do we need to look at something else? The line on the move list tells you that the moves above that line account for 80% of the games. I'm a big proponent of worrying about the most important moves first before getting too involved in learning lines that don't occur very often. With the bidirectional, we can click down in the moves. We can go over to C3. And one thing that becomes very interesting at C3, after we attack the bishop, is that we have covered the bishop going to A5, and we have covered the bishop going to E7. But the most popular move, the bishop going to c5, is not part of the repertoire, and which seems like a bad idea. If we click on the move, it will automatically get added to the repertoire. And if you look at the tree, you will, since it's in bidirectional mode, it will automatically get updated. Bishop to c5 got added to the repertoire tree. Let's just go ahead and use some of the popular moves. So let's go ahead and we'll respond to that bishop move with going to d4. And it seems like that black almost always takes the pawn. So let's do that. White either takes the pawn or does a castle at this point. The castle has a very nice white win percentage, and it's not that popular, so let's go ahead and do that. So as you can see, the moves have been added to the tree down below. Bidirectional support between the tree and the move list enables you to focus on the different parts of the tree that interest you, or different parts of the builder, and they stay in sync together. So now, like for example, if we went back to the tree viewer and we click on C3, we see we now have the new choice has been added. Building the tree and selecting the moves are all well and good, but the real point is to learn this. For that, under repertoires, you'll see practice. Now, you'll notice that even though we've been working with the Evans Gambit, the practice says that there's no repertoire that has been selected. Practice has a unique feature. Now let's click on repertoires down at the bottom, and you'll see that now here's a list of all the different repertoires that I happen to have. If we read the top, it says select the repertoires in color you want to practice. Multiple repertoires can be merged one color at a time. You either practice your white game or you practice your black game. But the neat thing is that you can practice multiple repertoires together. So like for example, I've accumulated 4 different Goring gambits. I can pick and choose which one of those I want to practice, or I could do all 4. So this time we're just going to do the Evans Gambit by itself. So the practice screen starts off by telling you how many lines there are in the tree. In other words, how many branches there are. So the Chessvis repertoire practice has several features to help you learn your repertoire. And I use the word learn and not memorize, because I've done a lot of acting, and the way you learn a script is not by sitting down and trying to memorize line after line after line. It's to understand the scene, understand what your fellow actors are saying to you, and which is in essence the same as what your opponent is saying to you with the move that they're making. And you need to then understand the response that you make. So the first and simplest tool is the hint button down on the toolbar. It will tell you what the next move is that you should be making. So let's go ahead and play a few. And the computer will come back with one of the branches that is being followed. And then our next move is knight out, and then bishop out, and we know that the next move is b4. Let's say right now I don't remember what the move is supposed to be. I can click hint and I can go, oh yeah, it's c3. The computer will randomly pick one of the branches that occurs, because I think I remember that the bishop could retreat to where it did, or it can go to a5. So the other facility that the repertoire practice gives you is the ability to see the tree and use that as a guide to give you an idea of where you are, and you can open it up. The idea is to become familiar with the repertoire and not just see it as a sequence of moves that plow from move one to the end. And you can look at it and then you could hide it and go back to doing it one move at a time. Want to look at the tree again, but this time we want to go ahead and see where we are in the tree and have it follow along. So now we can see that we have two moves in the tree. Let's go ahead and retreat the bishop to b2. And again, you see that it follows along. And then we could go ahead and hide that and then go back to trying to remember. So again, we could sneak a peek and go back, sneak a peek, go back, or we could just leave it up there, almost like in a play rehearsal where you start off with script in hand rehearsals where there's no attempt to try to start memorizing it. It's about getting to know it without being fixated on memorization to start. Go ahead and show it to me, and it will step through it. We can go to the next line and see that one, and it will step through all of those. And again, it will follow along. And it's actually sort of funny. I don't play this opening, but when I do use this one for testing, I end up like learning it anyway. It's sort of interesting. So let's see. The bishop went back to a5, so our move is up to d4, and I will do a hint. Queen over there. And again, it's all about working through the different lines, and you can do them again. You can go to the next one, you can have it reveal, you can come back tomorrow and do this again. You can combine this with a different couple of openings. If you develop a response to the Sicilian, you could combine them so that you're learning both the response to E5 and C5 at the same time. I think that's about it. I would like to leave it there. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Thank you for watching this video. Bye.